Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am INEC and coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari orders security heads to eliminate terrorists in the country.
What it requires
Chief of Army Staff orders troops to be ruthless with terrorists. Plus, Pope Francis offers to meet with Russian President Putin over invasion of Ukraine. Details of the stories and more in a moment. First in our news this afternoon is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has again charged heads of military and other security agencies in the country to rise up to their responsibilities and go after terrorists troubling the nation to eliminate them. He gave the charge after joining other Muslims to observe the Eid prayers at the Mambila Barracks Parade Ground, Abuja. In commemoration of the Eid el-Fitr, President Buhari, while responding to questions at the presidential villa from the prayer ground, said his administration will continue to work to make the country safe for Nigerians, adding that it is the duty of security agencies to know terrorist hideouts. President Buhari, who admitted having sleepless nights over the security situation in parts of the country, however, promised to spare no efforts in dealing decisively and mercilessly with criminal gangs. Away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari has downplayed claims that he has a favored candidate for the 2023 elections, saying he will hand over to whoever Nigerians elect. The president made the remarks while answering questions from journalists after observing the Eid el-Fitr prayers at Mambila Barracks Parade Ground in Abuja. In the meantime, President Buhari has discussed issues bordering on military cooperation, bilateral ties and global interest with his Turkish counterpart, Tayyip Erdogan. The discussion took place via a call from Erdogan on the occasion of this year's Eid el-Fitr celebrations. Meanwhile, President Buhari has blamed the delay in rescuing those kidnapped in the Abuja-Kaduna bound train from their abductors then on tactics deployed by the terrorists and other bandits using their victims as human shields. This is as the president assured families of the kidnapped victims that efforts were ongoing to ensure safe return of all those being held by bandits. According to the president, bandits and terrorists, unlike professional soldiers, do not respect the rules of engagement and therefore could resort to harming their hostages when under threat. Buhari said the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police IGP have the responsibility of locating the bandits in their hideouts for elimination. On security to protect Nigeria's corporate existence, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, has directed the military to be ruthless with Boko Haram and Islamic State West Africa Province ISWAP terrorists. Addressing the 2022 Salah luncheon for wounded troops at the Mailemere Cantonment, Maiduguri, Borno State, the Army Chief instructed soldiers not to only seize weapons but also to neutralize the insurgents. Yahaya, who charged the combat to have more determination, commitment and aggressiveness in ridding the country of terrorists and criminals, also urged the troops to end the war that has claimed several lives and properties. Still on security, Inspector General of Police IGP Usman Alkali Baba has ordered the deployment of 4 police helicopters on the enhanced aerial surveillance. The helicopters are to support police's operational assets and ensure adequate security across the country. Police spokesperson Chief Superintendent of Police CSP Muyiwa Adejobi, who made the disclosure, said the directive was in furtherance of the IGP's commitment to continually provide security, adding that the IGP has released funds and required logistics to facilitate the expensive deployment. Meanwhile, a fire incident has ravaged an office of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Zamfara State, situated in Kwara Namboda local government area. Reports say when firefighters arrived at the scene in time to save the office, that they reportedly could not put out the fire due to the lack of water in their fire truck. Meanwhile, INEC authorities in the region and the national level are yet to issue an official statement regarding the incident. To politics now, where Ohaneze Ndigbo Youth Council has allegedly endorsed the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, for president in the 2023 general elections. Addressing journalists after its meeting in Enugu, the leader of council, Miracle Musu, said his members were delighted to identify with the APC chieftain as the foremost national political leader in contemporary Nigeria and political dispensation. Musu stated that having carefully extolled Tinubu's visionary leadership qualities, forthrightness and uncommon courage, the group believes he will surely lead Nigerian youth and the nation to greater heights out of economic peril. Away from that, the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria has rejected the proposed skeletal payment of outstanding national minimum wage by the National Assembly Service Commission. The National Assembly workers threatened to embark on strike if the management of the National Assembly failed to pay the arrears to all categories of workers by the end of May. Meanwhile, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has approved the payment of pension to additional 1,191 retirees. Deputy Governor Dame Harry Banigo, who represented Wike at the 2022 Workers' Day celebration, said the government has provided stipends to all state secondary schools to enhance the studies, as well as approved the immediate release of monthly pension salaries of additional 1,191 retirees. Elsewhere, Benue State Governor Samuel Otom has commended the courage and resilience of the Nigerian press in the sustenance and promotion of tenets of democracy in the country. Governor Otom, in a goodwill message to commemorate this year's World Press Freedom Day, said credit must be given to the press for the enduring democracy and its resilience in the face of daunting challenges to continue to inform, educate, and entertain the populace. Recall that the United Nations General Assembly declared May 3rd every year to celebrate the media and appreciate its efforts and importance of press freedom globally. The theme of this year's World Press Day is Journalism Under Digital Siege. The governor, who noted the harsh environment under which the Nigerian media operates, urged the federal government to consider subsidies and import waivers for media equipment. This, he opined, will help the media industry survive the harsh economic environment and put it in better stead to contribute immensely to the socio-economic and political development of the country. Back here, United Nations has declared May 3rd annually as World Press Freedom Day to raise awareness of the importance of freedom of the press and remind governments of their duty to respect and uphold the right to freedom of expression. The theme for this year's Journalism Under Digital Siege focuses on the digital era's impact on freedom of expression, the safety of journalists, and access to information. Our reporter has the rest of the report.
Ensuring precise situation reports during the COVID-19 pandemic to inform decision makers and save lives, bringing global attention to climate crisis and those in war zones, uncovering truth and seeking transparency and accountability from those in power. A lot of times, journalists face attempts to silence them from many sides. Women journalists are usually at risk of harassment and violence, preventing journalists from doing their jobs. The United Nations General Assembly has declared May 3rd to be World Press Freedom Day to celebrate the fundamental principles of freedom of the press, defend the media from attack, and pay tribute to journalists who have lost their lives in the exercise of their profession. This year's theme, Journalism Under Siege, not only highlights ways to endanger journalism, but also the consequences of all this on public trust over digital communications. The United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres has called on governments, media organizations, and technology companies to join the fight in protecting press freedom.
The methods and tools change, but the goal of discrediting the media and covering up the truth remains the same as ever. And the results are also the same. People and societies that are unable to distinguish fact from fiction and can be manipulating in horrifying ways. On World Press Freedom Day, we honor the essential work of the media in speaking truth to power, exposing lies, and building strong, resilient institutions and societies. We call on governments, media organizations, and technology companies everywhere to support these crucial efforts.
This is a call to join UNESCO to ensure the safety of media workers and press freedom, because without freedom of the press, there is no democratic society. Without freedom of the press, there is no freedom. Edidion Martin, reporting for Spectrum Television.
Still in Akwa Ibom, a public health practitioner, Professor Ukeme Eyo, has advised Nigerians to seek overall health and well-being by ensuring safety within and outside the work environment. According to him, being generally security conscious is important to individual health and well-being. Our correspondent has the report.
Safety is known as the condition of being free from danger or harm, as well as the conscious efforts to control hazardous objects and substances in order to achieve an acceptable level of health. Therefore, safety and health can go hand in hand. Conversations surrounding safety and health focuses on enhancing social dialogue towards general well-being within and outside the work environment. Within the work environment, employers have been encouraged to maintain a safe and healthy workplace by implementing recommended safety and health procedures to prevent workplace injuries, illnesses, and deaths, increase productivity, as well as reduce the sufferings and financial strains these events may cause on workers and the employer. Outside the work environment, a public health practitioner, Professor Ukeme Eyo, advises on best safety practices.
Security is a problem now all over the world, not only Nigeria. You go out there, you must be on alert. Observe your environments. Don't take things for granted. If you're inside the keke, listen to the language they are using. They have coded messages for female victim, a male victim, a young victim. If you're driving on the road, look at your rear mirrors. Lock your cars. Don't stop at junctions to ask somebody this list to wear. Get your instruction before you leave your house. If you're inside your house, lock your doors. Don't stay outside before 7 p.m.
Ensuring good health and safety practices go a long way in enhancing overall health and well-being. Edidion Martin, reporting for Spectrum TV.
In Africa, Mali's ruling junta has announced it is breaking off from its defense accords with former colonial ruler France, condemning flagrant violations of its national sovereignty by the French troops there. The junta spokesman, Colonel Adebulaye Maiga, in a televised statement, noted that there has been a profound deterioration in military cooperation with France. Maiga cited multiple instances of French forces violating the country's airspace, referring to the June 2021 decision by France to end joint operation with Malian forces. According to reports, tensions between France and the junta in Mali, which seized power in August of 2000, have been rising for some time, with the announcement being the latest confirmation of deteriorating relations between the junta and France. Still in Africa, as Kenya's general elections are approaching, tension between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Vice President William Ruto is mounting, with President Kenyatta asking his deputy to resign, claiming he did not act enough for his country. The general elections are meant to happen in August, and 47 candidates have already joined the race. Reports say although Kenyatta can no longer stand for re-election after 2 terms, William Ruto is resenting him for backing Raila Odinga, a former prime minister, instead of him. Meanwhile, the president does not have the ability to get rid of his deputy, as he can only be removed through impeachment or incapacity. On the foreign scene, foreign embassies are slowly reopening their doors in Ukraine's capital as the security situation there improves. Hungary reportedly became the latest country to announce that its embassy was operating out of Kyiv. Once again, the same day that Denmark said it too would be reopening its embassy. Still on the foreign scene, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson will describe Ukraine's resistance to the Russian invasion as the country's finest hour when he addresses its parliament later today. Speaking virtually to members of parliament, Boris will also set out details of €300 million in extra military support, which will include electronic warfare equipment, a counter-battery radar system, GPS jammers and night vision devices. Johnson's speech is expected to echo the words of Prime Minister Winston Churchill, just as Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky did when he addressed members of parliament at Westminster in March. Meanwhile, Pope Francis says he has offered to travel to Moscow to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss the war in Ukraine, but has not yet heard back. The Pope told newsmen that he had sent a message to the Kremlin 20 days after the Russian invasion via the Vatican's top diplomat, as well as having a 40-minute Zoom call with the head of the Russian Orthodox Church. It is the first time the pontiff has mentioned Russia or publicly named Putin since the beginning of the war in Ukraine more than 2 months ago. Still to come in the news. FIFA fines Nigeria 64.9 million naira over Abuja stadium violence. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, the Association of Nigerian Licensed Custom Agents, ANLCA, will be writing the National Assembly immediately after the Eid al-Fitr break to express their grievance over the newly introduced 15% National Automotive Council levy introduced by the Nigeria Customs Service on imported vehicles. Acting National President of ANLCA, Kayode Farinto, in a statement noted that the leadership of the association will engage the legislature on the insensitivity, of this present administration. Recall that the NCS recently introduced a 15% NAC levy on used imported vehicles, a decision which didn't go down well with clearing agents in the country's maritime sector. A statement by the National Public Relations Officer Timi Bombodi said the move was in compliance with the Economic Community of West Africa Common External Tariff. Still in business, Nigeria's external reserves fell slightly by $169 million in 8 days to $39.6 million as of April 28th. According to figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN revealed that the reserves, which had earlier gained $243.83 million in 19 days from $39.54 billion as of April 1st, 2022, and rose to $39.78 billion as of April 19, 2022, returned to a downward path. Meanwhile, the Bankers Committee has expressed the need for the country to boost revenue from non-oil sector to reduce impact of volatile oil price on the country's reserves. In health, a mental health expert, Professor Taiwo Sheikh, says mental health care services should be integrated into primary health care, general hospital and tertiary level care, noting that the integration will help reduce stigma and the number of patients visiting traditional homes for care. Sheikh, a professor of psychiatry at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Kaduna State, said there was a huge gap in the number of mental health services available in the country and the number of people demanding the services. Speaking with newsmen, the medical expert lamented that lack of specialists, inadequate modern mental health facilities, and poor funding were confronting mental health services in the country. Professor Sheikh called on the government to address the gaps for people with mental illnesses and ensure they have access to modern mental health services and stop patronizing unorthodox care. Abdul Salam Nasidi, professor of virology, has called for the strengthening of routine immunization in the country, noting that it will help reduce deaths from preventable diseases. According to the virologist, routine immunization has saved lives for generations and will continue to do so in the future, stressing that no one should die from preventable diseases. Speaking to newsmen in Abuja, the medical expert, who stressed that a long life for all starts with access to vaccines, added that vaccines are powerful tools to fight against emerging and re-emerging infections like polio, yellow fever, cervical cancer, and more. In sports, World Football Governing Body FIFA has imposed a 64 million naira fine on Nigeria for crowd disturbances that followed the Super Eagles' inability to beat Ghana and qualify for Qatar 2022 World Cup. Recall that the Super Eagles on March 29, 2022 managed to hold the Black Stars to a 1-1 draw at the MKO Abiola Stadium, Abuja, thus losing the bid to make the Qatar 2022 list to the Ghanaians. To vent their anger and frustration over their team's poor show, football fans at the stadium went berserk, destroying everything in sight. Reports say the FIFA disciplinary panel also judged dozens of similar cases from World Cup qualifying games played since January and handed out several other fines and stadium closures. Still in sports, Russia have been disqualified from this summer's Women's Euros, while its bid to host the Men's Euros in 2028 and 2032 have been deemed ineligible by UEFA. European football's governing body also ruled that Russian teams will not be allowed to play in UEFA club competitions next season. On entertainment, one of the fashion's biggest events, the Met Gala, has rolled out its red carpet in New York for some of the globe's best-known stars. This year's dress code, gilded glamour, evoking America's late 19th century age of economic boom, sparked some debate on social media. Among the guests was former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, who said she was attending for the first time in 20 years to celebrate the fashion and spirit of America. The party raises millions of dollars for the Metropolitan Museum of Art Costume Institute, a fashion museum whose tens of thousands of exhibits are closed to general public. Still on entertainment, Metropolitan Museum of Art, organizers of the Met Gala, paid a special tribute to Rihanna by unveiling a marble statue in her honor. The pregnant top sensation, who is expecting her first child with rapper boyfriend A$AP Rocky, could not attend the 2022 Met Gala. Rihanna's marble statue is a replica of her baby bump shoot, which was used for the cover of Vogue magazine's tribute to the actress in its May edition. The singer thanked the museum and Vogue magazine for paying her a historic tribute. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTV.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am INEC. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day.